Hi, everyone. This is Christy Hove, EDU 715, and I'm very happy to be here with you today to present my interview around leadership. So I want to first start out by introducing my interviewee. I decided to talk with Dr. Daniel Newhart, the Assistant Vice Provost for Planning at the Pennsylvania State University. And before I get into the actual interview and some of the questions and the answers that he and I had an opportunity to talk through, I wanted to share with you a bit about the infrastructure of planning at Penn State University. So you'll see here that Daniel Newhart is Assistant Vice Provost for Planning within the Office of Planning, Assessment, and IR at University Park. Most of you would be familiar with this is State College in Pennsylvania. And I am on the eastern side of the state at Penn State Lehigh Valley as director in the Office of Planning and Analysis. So Daniel's office and my office collaborate quite frequently on various different projects throughout the university. We both sit on the University Planning Advisory Group, and he's actually chair of this committee. Many times, directives come down from the provost office, particularly around strategic planning. We are on a 5-year strategic planning cycle, and both his office, my office, and a variety of other offices will work on these types of directives, as well as sharing resources and insights around strategic planning and vision planning throughout the university. I would like to note that my campus is one of 60 budget units within the university system. So my strategic plan, as well as 59 other strategic plans, make their way up to Daniel in the Office of Planning and Assessment at University Park. So I want to talk a bit about the reasons why I selected Daniel Newhart. I definitely find him to be a true leader and a change agent within our university. And when I started to think about what types of words I would use to describe him and his leadership style, these are what really stood out to me. He's driven, he's a visionary, he's collaborative, trustworthy, and all around a nice person. So Lopez tells us that change management is no longer a term that denotes only operational improvements, cost efficiencies, and process reengineering. Change management has become a much bigger, more interwoven part of the overall business fabric. And I think Daniel's personality and his leadership traits really fit in with this idea, an embedded leadership requirement that plays into everything that we do every day and how we go about getting things done, regardless of hierarchy or rank. And so let me give you a little bit of background information about Dr. Newhart and his educational and professional background. Daniel started out as a first-generation student at Purdue University. And during his time as a student, he also served as an RA, a resident advisor. And he really credits these two experiences with giving him an idea of how students access and go through the pathway of higher education, and in terms of identity, awareness, and equity and equality. He then went on for his master's in higher education administration. He worked in a multicultural center as well as a racial justice research institute. He then received his PhD in education from Ohio State and stayed on there and became the founder of the Center for the Study of Student Life. He moved on to Oregon State, where he became the director of research and evaluation for student affairs. And then, very lucky for Penn State, about 3 years ago, took on the role of assistant vice provost for planning. While he and I talked for probably about 2 hours about different leadership styles and things that he's doing within the university, some underlying principles of leadership in the way that he leads teams and projects really stood out to me. And so I've captured 4 of them here. Number 1, he's always worked for land grant institutions. He says, "This resonates for me. It's how I got to college through the Purdue Extension 4-H. Number 2, he's aware of the landscape in which higher education operates and how it affects various populations of students. He says higher education is a system that doesn't exist in a vacuum. The K through 12 education system, legal system, politics, they all have an influence. Number 3, he believes that together you can achieve more. People are the important component of successful enterprises. And I love this statement. You can institutionalize collaboration. There are cool impacts if we all work together. And then number 4, he upholds identity and equity as key. I have a deep-seated grounding in equality. This has shaped where I go next. And so speaking about going where next, I wanted to know what brought Daniel to Penn State University and what did he think he could do in terms of affecting change as part of the position that he had applied to 3 years ago. And this was both within the department and across the university. And so he said he was interested in the scale of the position, the fact that it reported directly to the provost's office. He wanted to bring transparency and accountability into the strategic planning process across the university and within the campus units. He wanted to have an opportunity to work with various different audiences. And he saw that the provost was serious about strategic planning, and that really appealed to him to have a leader above him who really took seriously the work that he was going to be doing. And then finally, he wanted to put the university in a proactive position in terms of planning and assessment. But he said the thing that really stood out to him was the fact that he could be 95% a cheerleader for all of the good work that was happening across the university. And he knew he would need to be about 5% hammer. So to get a bit strict about the types of projects that sometimes need to be done or the deadlines that needed to happen. But this idea that he could really collaborate with various different stakeholders and acknowledge the great work that was being done was something that really appealed to him. And so this idea of how did you gain buy-in from various university stakeholders in the vision and the processes of the university? And he said things like this: visit as many people and campuses as possible, develop a level of comfort and trust with those people. Talk with those who you find might be skeptical. Why are we spending so much time doing strategic planning or research and evaluation? And then find advocates to help expand the vision, people who can be on your side and really talk the talk and help walk the walk for you. Stay out of conflicts where possible. Don't get into the politics of things. And this idea that all voices matter, that there's many, many different people across the university, and all of those voices and perspectives are really important. And so one of the things that is interesting right now is that our university is starting to use a strategic planning software called Nuventive. And Daniel has really been instrumental in taking this software from the ground level, forming a foundation, and implementing it throughout the university and the campus units. It's a collaborative process with a guided evaluation, and it gives us an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our achievements as we implement our strategic plan. And so I asked him, what do we do next with this software that we're using? And this is an example of the Penn State Lehigh Valley, my campus's front page of the Nuventive platform. And he said, we need to find a way to continue involving more people in the process so that strategic planning is not just one person at each campus, but it really becomes ingrained in what we do. We can't rely on the software to do all of the work for us. We are the people that are entering the information. And so we need to understand fully what it is that we're doing. And if we're not finding value in what we're doing, we need to recalibrate, and we need to find better and more efficient ways to get the job done. And so personally, I'm very excited to see where we go with all of this and what are next steps in terms of utilizing this platform. And so near the tail end of our interview, I asked what I believe are two really fundamental questions. Have you achieved your vision thus far? And do you consider yourself a change agent? And so he said to me, it is not my vision. I am trying to socialize the vision of the university and the people who work here. And in terms of a change agent, he said, I guess I've been called that, a change agent, but I am much more about changing university processes. If we have found a better way to do that together, then yes, I'm a change agent. If I did it alone, then no, I'm not a change agent. And so his answers led me to this conclusion. Dr. Daniel Newhart is definitely a servant leader. He said this phrase to me during our interview: "I have been built humble," and it has stuck with me since he's told me that. And so we've been reading a lot about North House and his theories. And so according to him, the servant leader is a leader who puts followers first, empowers them, and helps them develop the full capacity, personal capacities. And we know that there are a series of researchers who say things like servant leaders place the good of followers over their own interests. They demonstrate strong moral behavior towards their followers. And practicing servant leadership comes naturally for some people. And so when I look at the wheel on the left-hand side here and all of these 10 characteristics of servant leaders, I definitely see Dr. Newhart in each of these. And he is a person who is someone where servant leadership would naturally come easy for him. And so in conclusion, I want to say thank you to Dr. Daniel Newhart for serving as a wonderful example of a change agent within a dynamic and growing institution. If I could talk to him right now, I would say your dedication to higher education is unparalleled, and I'm beyond grateful to be able to call you my mentor leader. And so I am very much looking forward to taking this information and putting it into a larger paper for Dr. Garlick. And I would like to say to my classmates, good luck on the end of the semester and have best wishes for a really great summer. Thank you so much. See you all soon.